Yo, yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to a brand new year and welcome to a brand new edition and a brand new season of what we call the Shifting the Culture podcast, where we talk about the different artists and different events that have impacted this culture we know and love as hip hop, as well as the ones that continue to do so to this very day. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the flesh, as always.
And this is King Khan live and direct, back for another season.
What's going on, King Khan? Happy New Year. How's everything going? How was your New Year's? I know I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I was out of town. How did everything go?
Everything's pretty good, man. The New Year's we're off to like a wild start for the most part. I don't know if you keeping up with what's going on,
Of
but yeah, it's been a
course.
lot going on. This seems like this year is going to be the year of truth and realness. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Cat Williams interview that happened a few weeks ago, but yeah, if that's any indication of how the year is going to go, then yeah, we definitely get your popcorn ready because it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, Cat Williams let everybody have it. Steve Harvey, Cedric, Kevin Hart. There's a couple other people I think he kind of crapped on too. Yeah, bro, they did not come off looking good at all from that whole interview. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I only listened to bits and pieces of it, but damn. Crazy. I guess he was really holding this shit in for years and he finally let these motherfuckers have it, including Harvey Weinstein and also a main person who's been a topic of discussion on this show in recent months, Diddy. So yeah, basically he confirmed all these things that have been coming out about Diddy in recent months at that. So yeah, I guess he's a dude at this point who has nothing to lose and really doesn't give a fuck. But I gotta say, it makes for a good interview.
Yeah, definitely highly entertaining. And I know Cat's been, hasn't been in the spotlight like that in the last few years, but I'm glad to see that, 2024 looks like he's starting off strong and he's going to be out and about this year. I think he even said he's going on tour as well. So,
I think, yeah, and I also heard that Kevin Hart's ex-wife is going on tour with him too.
yeah, that's pretty,
The
that's
fuck?
pretty funny. That's
The
pretty funny. And
fuck?
talk about adding, throwing salt in the wound. But yeah, man, I think that's kind of what we've been missing, man, because I don't know, comedy over the last few years, it's like you can't really be a comedian and you got to watch what you say and I don't know, just kind of water down comedy. And I know I love it, watching stand up shows and whatnot. So it's kind of been weird the last few years. So hopefully we can get back to having some real comedy and we can laugh and enjoy. I kind of wasn't feeling that Dave Chappelle one. I don't know if you saw the one that came out right around New
Yeah,
Year. That show was kind of whack.
yeah. I actually watched it on New Year's Eve, like when I got home. Me and my best friends watched it. I kind of dozed off like almost halfway through, but my best friend even told me the next day that yeah, it wasn't that good. And yeah, considering how little people have been talking about it since then, that basically confirms it. Bees like that though.
So do you think Chappelle fell off, or what do you think is going on?
Ah,
Because I feel like the last few haven't been that funny to me, like laugh out hysterical laughing, and I feel like I don't know, it's more like commentary than comedy to me. I don't know. I don't
I
know what you feel
mean,
about it, but I haven't really felt like the last few stand ups that he's dropped haven't been really that funny to me.
I remember the Sticks and Stones one. I remember the Sticks and Stones one, the one where he got all the heat for the transgender jokes and all that. I personally like that one. I even pretty much saw most of that routine when I went to go see him in Vegas. But this most
Hmm.
recent one, whatever, it wasn't the greatest one, but everybody has a bad special and a bad movie and a bad episode of a TV show every now and then. It happens. If he starts having like multiple different specials that end up being whack, then you can, make that argument. But one bad special, it's not the end of the world.
Nah, nigga, it's been about like the last two or three. I don't know, man. Just not getting the same kind of like I don't know punch in the
Nah,
gut like like
this
like
one,
before.
this one definitely wasn't as good as the last one. But I would say, like, saying that the other ones also sucked and all that. I don't think that's a fair argument, me personally.
Well, yeah, teach his own. But I feel like yeah, Cat Williams. Hopefully, he lit a fire in the comedy industry, and hopefully we can get some good specials, some hopefully some good movies and some good some good things to laugh at. Because yeah, it's been kind of quiet in the comedy field the last few years. So hopefully we can get back to some funny jokes, man. And people need to stop being so damn sensitive and people getting all butthurt and shit over like comics doing their thing. So hopefully you can get back to just having fun and enjoying life.
Yeah, definitely. Not everything has to be serious. You don't have to take every little thing personal and get butthurt about every little joke. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to have fun. And also, very important, it's also okay to laugh at yourself and laugh at some situations that may be serious on paper. But it's okay, even with serious situations, to sometimes make fun of them, to make more light of them, and to kind of be a way of healing in a sense.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, let's hopefully get some good specials this year. But other than that, man, how was your trip up top, man? How that trip come about?
Oh, my trip was great. I was in New York, New Jersey, but in all honesty, I was in New Jersey for pretty much 80% of the trip. I was staying with my best friends and their older brother. He has an apartment above a restaurant that he owns in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's called Veganized. So basically, how it was I was staying in the apartment and then I just go downstairs and I'm right at the restaurant. I could sit at the bar, eat as much as I want for free, drink as much as I want for free. There was also a dispensary a block away, supermarket a block away, a bar across the street where we would go to after we would close. Also, the train station's right there that takes you to the city in an hour. So yeah, I basically had everything I needed within that one little area to the point where I didn't fucking need to go to the city like that.
That's dope, man. Glad you had a good time. How was the weather out there?
To be honest, it wasn't that bad. There was only maybe 2 days that were super cold, and one of those days it was snowing. But besides that, I think it was even colder in Atlanta before I left than it was in Jersey and New York when I was there.
Yeah, it's been pretty cold the last few days down here. So yeah, I'm glad it wasn't too bad when you're up there. I know how it can be around, especially this time of year.
Yeah, I also stayed very productive during the trip too. I recorded two songs. One's kind of like a raunchy, romantic, I want to fuck your brains out song, and the other one's kind of like a breakup, I hate you song. So, and also I did two episodes of my podcast called For the Birds, one with one twin L, the other one with the other twin Ben. And I think they both came out well. They were both about two different topics, one about responsibility in the new year, the other about the ups and downs of smoking weed. And yeah, I think both episodes can really help a lot of people and also entertain a lot of people through an hour of listening to it also. So I got all that done while I was up there. And yeah, just had a good time. And I'll say it was the quickest 10-day trip I ever had.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Anytime you have on a good trip, sometimes it goes by too fast. So, but I'm glad at least you got we were productive out there. Got recorded some new tracks, spent some time with your friends, and had just chilled out for a few days. So glad you had a good time and good start to the new year.
Yeah, definitely was a trip I really needed because of the fact that I was running around a lot, beforehand, and I was getting kind of tired and burned out from it. So this trip was kind of nice to, still be social, still go out a little bit, but also kind of not run as hard as I had been running before. That was the main thing I got from it that I really, really needed.
No, you got to rest. You got to
Yeah, it felt
rest.
good to sleep in for a change, and also that food and those drinks at that restaurant veganized. Holy shit! Holy shit! Even if you're not vegan, and even if you like have like some kind of like phobia towards tofu or whatever, I'm telling you, if you live in the New Brunswick, New Jersey area, or ever in that area, or in the New York area, period, go check out Veganize. That food, those drinks, that shit is going to change your fucking life. I'm telling you that. Listen to Conscious Kurt. Conscious Kurt knows what he's talking about when it comes to this stuff. And I'm telling you, go to Veganize if you're ever in that area. Shout out to the staff there.
Word, that's what's up, man. Glad it was an enjoyable experience, man.
Yeah, it was. I was only in the city twice. Like in 10 days, I was only in the city twice for, yeah, two separate days. The one day I was going to go like to Brooklyn and Queens, it was really snowing and yeah, the weather wasn't great. So I was like, you know what? It's probably not worth it. Did you do anything fun for New Year's?
New Year's, I just kind of chilled out. I didn't really do much. Just hung out the house. Cause I had did something for Christmas, so I didn't really want to do much. So I just chilled at the house, drank a little bit, watched the ball drop, and yeah, that was about it. Nothing too crazy.
Oh, it's
So yeah,
funny. It's funny. We were walking through Times Square the Thursday after New Year's, and there was still confetti falling through the sky. Shit was crazy.
wow, damn,
Yeah,
it probably got stuck up there or something.
yeah. That's the
Stuck on the
closest I'll
building.
ever. That's the closest I'll ever get to walking through Times Square on New Year's Eve. But fuck it, I'll take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would stay away from there because I know what people got to stay like hours, right, or like days,
Yeah,
like posted up just if they want to get a spot for like that Times Square ball drop.
I barely like going to Times Square on a regular day. Imagine that kind of bullshit scenario.
Yeah, did you hear about that crazy shit that happened in Florida like a week ago?
What crazy shit?
About the fucking supposedly the aliens were in a mall on
Ah,
South Beach. Did you hear about
get the
that shit?
fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, aliens.
Well, I know I don't know what you think about it. I don't know. I kind of believe that we're not like the only beings in this whole galaxy. All these different planets and shit that's out there. I don't believe that we're like the only ones. But I don't. This particular story was kind of funny though. I don't know if you read up on it, but they're
That's
trying to say that yeah, people were trying to say that there was these 8 foot tall creatures that were walking around the mall. But I kind of like shot it down though, because like where the hell is the video footage? People record pretty much everything that happens, and it's online some way somehow. But then there's nothing online to kind of prove, or there's no like clear video footage. So I don't know, man. I just thought that was funny that people were running with that story and saying that there was aliens at the mall and shit. So yeah, I
it's,
got a kick out of that story.
it's typical Florida shit. Always some weird, out of the ordinary, extraterrestrial shit happening over there, and yeah, this is no different. I like alien movies, but as far as believing this story, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, his story was a little suspect, but yeah, it was
A
interesting
little.
though. A little, yeah, it was a little interesting. But I don't know, man. I just feel like the government a couple years ago came out and pretty much said that aliens do exist. So I feel like they're trying to prepare us for something.
Yeah, they might be most of them.
What I don't know what it is. I don't know what's been happening lately. If random balloons flying up in the air, and it's a lot of funny shit's been going on the last few years. So I don't know, man. Just I was just
That I'll grant you. That I'll grant
a
you.
lot of, lot of
Like
funny
a lot of
shit.
unprecedented shit has happened in recent
But
years. I can't give you that.
billionaires, I heard, are building bunkers underground and shit. So I don't know, man. Just keep your eyes open. Be aware of your surroundings, because there's a lot of funny shit going on.
Yeah, and it's election year too, so it's only gonna get funnier and more ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Wow, we really. It's gonna be an interesting year. I don't think anybody's really fucking with Biden, and Donald Trump's trying to run again this year.
You
So
know what's
be
funny?
interesting to see
You know what's
who
funny?
comes out on top.
You know what's funny? I noticed a lot of black people have been fucking with Trump a lot more heavily in recent times.
Yeah, because everybody remembers how shit was during the pandemic, how shit was a lot more affordable and people live better lives than what it is now. Now there's a lot of like fucked up shit going on. So yeah, I can see why. I can see why.
And that's what I knew ahead of time. I knew Biden wasn't going to be that much better than Trump. Yeah, he's not as loud and like openly racist and obnoxious and all that jazz, but I just looked at the research on him from top to bottom and I just said to myself, like, yo, this is not any better. Like, I compare the election process nowadays with both parties and also, for the most part, the candidates they give us to forcing me to choose between dating two women I'm not attracted to. It may be a choice, but it's not a choice worth choosing.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. They need to figure something out, because it's not looking good, this election year. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
and I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing this election year. I am voting third party.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know who the third person or another party would be.
I just whoever is the most appealing, even if that's a third party candidate, that is who I'm voting for. Because I said I've been saying this for years, and I've been on this for years. I only vote. The biggest reason that I vote is out of respect for my ancestors. One of those being Dr. King, which we'll get into later, because of like what they went through and the sacrifices they went through in order to get us the right to vote. So I only mainly vote specifically for presidential elections, just out of respect for them. But with that aside, I do see that whole thing and that whole process as a fucking joke. I've seen it as a joke for
Yeah,
years, and I see it as even more of a joke now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
yeah. I'm kind of worried what's going to happen this year, because yeah, this two party shit is not working. It hasn't worked in a
Hasn't
very
been
long
working for
time,
years.
and the world has changed, and the world is continuing with the change. So I don't know. Something has to give, because if this is the only two options that we have, it might be better to go to fucking Mars or some shit, because this shit is getting out of hand.
I'm gonna move to South America and become a passport bro. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that might be smart. Might be the smart thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these girls out here are crazy too.
Yeah. So I don't
Some,
know.
not all. Some, not all. All right, but Getting into some of our main topics of the day, this past week on January 11th marked the 53rd birthday of the queen of hip hop soul, Mary J. Blige. So happy birthday to her, and what a fucking incredible career she's had over these past 30 years now. And I gotta say, even at 53 years old, she still looks fucking great. If you see the pictures of her in recent years, you're like, fuck me, man. This girl really takes care of herself. So shout out to her for that and for the great career she's had. And yo, more power to her.
Yeah, definitely, yo, definitely a queen. Done a lot of classic songs, classic albums, and it's dope that she's still around, still dropping, music consistently over the past few years and still staying relevant. So, shouts out to the queen. I know she didn't even have to do that anymore because her career's already solidified, but I like to see that some of the greats, who are still, a little bit past their prime, but still putting out, still putting out music and, still doing their thing. So good to see that. And yeah, man, her catalog, speaks for itself, man. She's done a lot for the game and for the genre. So shouts out to her, Queen of Hip Hop Soul.
Yeah, one of my favorite female artists of all time. So many classic records, so many classic albums, and classic records that really meant something, that like really like hit you in that place that a lot of other music can't. Yeah, that's Mary J. Blige for you. And I've had that feeling for her for a long time, specifically for the video for No More Drama. Bro, that shit gives me goosebumps every single time. She makes you look at the world in a different way. That's the best way I could put it. She really makes you look at the world and look at certain social issues like in a way that you wouldn't look at them without listening to her.
Yeah, she's definitely a timeless artist, a legend in the game. So now that, we mentioned that she came out with a bunch of classic records. What are some of your best songs for Mary? Some of her best collabs, hip hop and R&B collabs that she's dropped over the years. What are some that stand out to you?
Shit, she's had so many of them. But obviously, the one that people will probably say the most, and definitely one that stands out, is "You're All I Need" with Method Man.
Yeah, of course. You definitely can't go wrong with that. That's one of her biggest tracks, and probably took her. She was already big before that, but that took her like to another stratosphere when that song dropped.
I think, in a way, it took both of them to another stratosphere.
Yeah, yeah. Method Man was probably the hottest artist at that time. Being dropping Method Man and doing stuff with the Wu Tang. He was on fire at that time, and the Takao album, and then him and Mary connected, and boom, from there, like their careers kind of took another level from there once that
Yeah,
song came out.
yeah, they just complement each other so well on that track. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely one of the best collabs between the R&B and a hip hop artist that we ever received. So, any other ones that stand out to you? I got a
Well,
bunch that
before
yeah,
well before we move on, I just wanted to say that if she does come out with an album like anytime soon, one idea I think that would be great is if her and Method did a whole album together.
that would be dope. Yeah, that would be interesting to see that.
Yeah, they never did that before. I know they did a couple of other collabs besides "You're All I Need," but for them to do a whole album together, I mean, everybody's doing joint albums nowadays, so why not those two?
But I like the joint albums because sometimes you kind of get tired of, especially when you've been in this game for such a long time, you get tired of trying to, put together a whole album by yourself. But then if you can collab with a different artist, it kind of brings new life and new energy to the artist and to the music because, when you're doing a collaboration album, it's not just, your beats or, your type of songs. You kind of got to work with the other artists to kind of come together and find a happy medium. So, and sometimes you get some banging joints out of that. So I'm glad that it's a good thing that artists can join forces together and drop albums together, especially artists that you wouldn't think would join forces. So I definitely that sounds like a good idea if they could come together. But she has dropped an album. She dropped Good Morning Gorgeous. She dropped that about like a year ago, and she's had like Fab was on there. A bunch of other people were on that album, Remy Ma and some others. So yeah, you should check it out if you haven't checked it out already.
Definitely, I will. So another, yeah, but other of her best collabs she's had, I'll definitely put this one in there. That All That I Got Is You song with Ghostface.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite Ghostface tracks and Mary tracks. And I don't know, man. Every time I hear that song, that shit kind of almost makes me cry, yo. She gets me teary eyed
Yeah,
because that fucking
definitely.
song is mad deep, and I don't know. There's a lot of shit in that song I could kind of connect with, with my way of growing up. So yeah, definitely that's strong touches a nerve when you hear that song.
Yeah, it's some emotional ass shit. You really get a glimpse of how it was for Ghostface and probably the other members of Wu Tang growing up in Staten Island, like in that era. You definitely get a full glimpse of that.
Yeah, and then his he talked about his brother had muscular dystrophy as well that he's talked to, and they even showed parts of that in like the Wu Tang series that came out. So yeah, that was just a dope song, one of the best sentimental songs in hip hop, one of the realest songs in hip hop ever. So yeah, definitely Mary did her thing on that one. So yeah, that's definitely up there.
And also from that same year, another one that she's very known for, Can't Knock the Hustle with Jay-Z.
Yeah,
Holy
I wanna.
shit.
Yeah, that's probably one of her best choruses. Yeah, she definitely murdered that track.
Taking out this
Yeah, when she murdered the
time.
chorus, and then like towards the end of the song, when she gets her own little part to shine to close it out. Yeah, it's dope. Definitely one of her timeless collabs with Jay.
Another great collab she had, If I Don't Know Where I'm Coming From track with DMX from Flesh of My Flesh.
Yeah, yeah, she definitely did her
Yo.
thing.
They both did Yonkers
I'm
proud
gonna
with
give you
that
another
track.
one that's a highly slept on Mary J. Blige track. Since you're talking about DMX, I don't know if you remember that song "Sincerity" featuring DMX and Nas. I don't know. It was kind of like an underground song. It came out around the time when she had that song and video called Deep Inside, and they kind of like cut to that song. I don't know if you remember the video too much, but this was a minute ago. So like late '90s, I would say. And yeah, she kind of cuts to that song, but Sincerity is a definitely a dope track. It has a different type of beat.
Was this from like the Mary album? That album she had like in
Yeah, it was the
'99?
Deep Inside was the main single, and like I said in that video, they cut to they you know how in some videos they'll play like a little snippet of another song and then go back to the song.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
definitely.
they had like a section. I think they were dancing in the street or some shit, and that song came on. But definitely, I don't think it's on any like Spotify or Apple Music or anything. I think it was like a like a real like maybe like an unreleased or a mixtape type of track. But it's definitely on YouTube. I checked it out the other day, so that's definitely one of Mary's sleeper joints. And DMX and Nas murdered their verses on that as well. So definitely a sleeper and one to check out if you haven't already.
Good shit. Yeah, definitely. Also, another classic collab that she had was the one with Common, the Come Close shit.
Oh yeah, that was a dope one.
Especially the video. I don't know if you remember the video, but like when Common's like standing outside the girl's window when he's holding up all the signs.
The cue cards, yeah, yeah. Then he's talking, and
Yeah,
she's
the
in the
cue
window and
cards.
shit. Yeah, yeah, I remember that video. And Common's wearing like a fucking, he's wearing one of those kufis and shit. One of those, what do you call
Berets,
those?
yes,
Those
Beret. He was
berets and
wearing that
shit.
shit. He was like wearing those a
Yeah,
lot during that time.
yeah. That was Common's colorful phase. Definitely, he's wearing a lot of different colors and outfits and funny outfits and shit.
Come close to me, baby. Yeah, she bodied it.
There's a couple of that you haven't that I want to mention that you haven't.
Yeah, there's another one featuring pretty much her best friend, that the I Can Love You song with Lil Kim.
Yeah, definitely on that
I
album. Yeah, that
can
was a
love
good album.
you. And also that Love Is All We Need track with Nas
Yeah, that
from the
was
same
dope.
album. That was from the
Yeah,
same
yeah, that
album.
was the same album. Yeah, that was dope. I feel like one you're missing is probably one of her most memorable tracks is the "I Love You" remix with Smith and Wesson. That was definitely one of the highlights of like the '90s. One of her most famous tracks. But yeah, if you hear that song, it definitely brings you back in. And Smith and Wesson murdered that with that back and flow that they did on that track. So definitely one of her best remixes. Also, that Back to Life with on that DJ Clue album. Remember
Oh
when
yeah, from
Ada Kiss and
'01.
Mary
Yeah,
J.
from
Blige
'01.
Made
Oh
a Kiss and
shit, I
Mary J.
forgot all
Blige.
about
That
that.
was another one. And another honorable mention is 911 on Wyclef. That was one of my favorite Mary
Okay.
R&B joints. So yeah, she definitely put a lot in the game, and yeah, she definitely go down as one of the greats.
Another one she did with Nas from
Yeah.
Life Is Good, the Once in a Lifetime song. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, I think it was called Reminisce or something like that.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, they both bodied it.
Reach out and touch, reach out and touch. That was, yeah, reach out and touch. That's what it was, or something like that. Yeah, that was a dope one.
And also another one kind of people don't talk about as much anymore, that Runaway Love one with Ludacris.
Oh yeah, yeah, she definitely murdered that chorus. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was a huge departure for Ludacris from like the stuff he would usually do. But yeah, and she was definitely a big help in like making him like believable in that role.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, shouts out to Mary, definitely a queen. And a legend, and hopefully she enjoys her birthday and keeps putting out, some of this timeless music that we could still talk about years later.
Yeah, I saw recent pictures of her on the beach and shit. I think she's doing just fine.
Yes.
All right, so let's switch topics. Tomorrow will actually be the birthday of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and if he were still alive today, he would be turning 95 years old. And I will say, I do have a different appreciation for Martin Luther King, especially since living in Atlanta. Obviously, this being where he's from and where his roots were. And I actually had the privilege of visiting his old house, and it was a very good experience, a very good history lesson for anybody. I encourage anybody, whoever visits Atlanta, to go visit that home of his. And considering that it is Martin Luther King Day tomorrow and it is Martin Luther King weekend, it's had me thinking of a lot of my favorite socially conscious hip hop songs over the years. Because obviously, a lot of that type of hip hop is kind of rooted from the causes that Dr. King, among others, fought for over the years. So, King Khan, I'd like to ask you, what would be some that stand out to you that you can think of off the top of your head?
Mm. Some socially conscious songs. I would probably go with Tupac's "Keep Your Head Up." That's one that comes to my mind. That was one of like the socially conscious songs that showed Tupac in a different light at that time. But actually, he was really known for like he would do the gangster stuff, and then he would have a conscious song here and there, like "Brenda's Got a Baby," "Keep Your Head Up," and "Dear Mama," like songs like that. So yeah, it was just dope that Tupac had those type of songs. So he was one of like the most socially conscious rappers. I would say that kind of gave you a little bit of both. He gave you the gangster shit, but then he also gave you the conscious shit as well. So that was kind of one of the tracks that stood out to me. What about you? Any other songs that stuck out to you that kind of similar to what the same light as Dr. Martin Luther King's message and what he was trying to bring?
Well, one of the early ones I can think of is the message from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Especially if you see the video for that song, yeah, you really get a glimpse of like the street life and how much of a struggle it is and how hard it is to grow up in those conditions. So yeah, that's definitely one that sticks out.
Before you could sing, like I didn't really think of it that's on the message, even though it's called the message. I never really think of it like a socially conscious song, but it definitely is. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Also, another one, also from the '80s, "Fight the Power" from Public Enemy.
Oh yeah, definitely a uplifting track, and definitely something for our culture to rally around, and a song that you want to march to.
Yes, and also very controversial. It like touched on a lot of like serious issues, but the biggest thing about it was that it was controversial in the sense where they talk shit about Elvis, when they talk shit about John Wayne, and it was even bad to the point where like it was featured in the movie "Do the Right Thing." That's kind of in a way what it's famous for, and people were kind of threatening to take "Do the Right Thing" out of theaters because of the fact that that song was in it.
Wow, yeah, Public Enemy, they don't get enough shine lately as they did, but they definitely were one of the groups that kind of like pushed for, for hip hop artists to, to kind of talk about some of these issues that are going on in the community that a lot of people are scared to talk about. So they're one of the first groups to do that.
Yeah, kind of how like we're talking about the whole political stuff with like Trump and Biden and all that. They were kind of the first ones to like really do it in their songs.
Yeah, exactly, and protest and do a lot of other things and show it in their videos too. So yeah, definitely pioneers at what they're doing and at their craft.
Yeah, and yeah, also, yeah, "Keep Your Head Up" I'll definitely throw in there as one of those socially conscious songs. Also, "Brenda's Got a Baby" you can throw in that mix too.
Yeah, definitely. Also, we talked about this before. The Nas "I Can." Also, Jadakiss's "Why." "Why" was a pretty eye-opening track. We talked about a lot of different things, so I kind of like that song as well.
Yeah, why to a degree, although kind of half of it is about like, street stuff and the other half of it is like about like random questions, like, why I can't come through in a pecan jag. But overall, yeah, he does have
Yeah,
some deep stuff that he brings up. Like
yeah,
that
yeah. Overall, the song was pretty good.
like that one line about like why did Bush knock down the towers? He actually said that's his favorite line of the whole song.
Yeah, because it's some truth to it. If you want to think about it.
That and also the line about Denzel, like, why did Denzel have to be crooked before he took it, referring to him like winning the Oscar for like playing the shady cop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah, he brought
that
up a lot of deep stuff.
they gave Denzel the Oscar for that movie, and all the other countless movies that he did, and then they gave Halle Berry the Oscar for a movie when she's getting slutted out by Billy Bob
Billy
Thornton.
Bob Thornton.
Yeah, So kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of interesting. I just wanted to mention that.
That was one of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I've ever seen in a movie, hands down.
Yeah, it definitely was not a good look.
It wasn't so much the scene itself. It was kind of like the circumstances behind it. Because like I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but like her son had just died, and like she was like in an emotional place, and like then it just led to that. So yeah, it was just a weird scene, very very weird scene. But it seems like it paid off for her.
Yeah, another track though. Arrested Development, Tennessee. That was another one of my favorite socially conscious songs. And Tennessee was, I mean, not Tennessee, but Arrested Development. They're from ATL, and they had a lot of conscious records like in the early '90s that were pretty dope, like Mr. Wendell, Everyday People, and in Tennessee. Those are a lot of those tracks that were really saying something back at that time. So I just wanted to shout those songs out as well.
Also a good one. It's not like really a popular song, but it is a solid one. The Streets on Fire song from Lupe from the Cool. Yo,
Yeah.
he really. It's kind of like the pre-COVID song. That's the way I look at it. It's the pre-COVID song.
Yeah, that was definitely a dope one. So there's a lot of socially conscious songs, but yeah, definitely a lot out there.
Yeah, and even before hip hop, there was like a lot of them. Even before like hip hop became popular. Like the one I think of the most is "What's Going On" from Marvin Gaye.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a timeless classic. I love that song,
It's funny
especially
the
when they used
very
to put
first.
it in the movies. And they used to put that song in
Yeah,
the movies.
that's what I was gonna say. The very first time I ever heard "What's Going On" was the trailer for Menace to Society.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, shouts out to anybody, all the conscious rappers out there for putting, not making the music not just about the street life, but about some of the things that are important to to people in the neighborhoods and to our families, and speaking on the important issues that are going on that not a lot of people talk about, so that are very important to us. So shouts out to them.
Yes, and also shout out to Dr. King for kind of setting that standard for a lot of these musicians, specifically MCs, to talk about these issues and to make it okay
Yeah,
to talk about these issues.
yeah, definitely. So much needed balance in the game that we need.
Yes, and from socially conscious hip hop to the debate about what is real hip hop, Yasiin Bey, better known as Mos Def, was recently on the Cutting Room Floor podcast, and he was asked about whether or not he considered Drake real hip hop. And his first response to the question was, "Why are you gonna do that to me?" And then he goes on to say that Drake is pop, and he compares Drake's music to the kind of music you would hear like if you're shopping at Target.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like Mos Def, he took the bait and he jumped out the window with this one. I felt like they set him up, and yeah, he didn't really. I don't think he tackled this question too good, like the way he said it. Because now I feel like he's gonna rub Drake the wrong way, and I won't be surprised if later this week there's a diss track from Drake coming at Mos Def. So I don't think it was necessary for Mos Def to go in like how he did. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I'll be honest, like I watched the clip and just the way he said it, he came off as like one of those gatekeepers. Those gatekeepers we've talked about on the show
Yeah.
before. That's the vibe I got from him.
Yeah, I just felt like it was unnecessary. Like this was a topic like a few months ago, and I guess they called him and wanted to talk about it. His first reaction was like, "Why you had to do me like that?" He should have just kept it moving and should have been like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to talk about it," or whatever. But it kind of felt like he's been waiting for somebody to ask him this question, and then he went in on it. So to say he's like target music or like shopping music, like I feel like that's kind of like a low blow. I don't feel like that was necessary. I think it's hilarious though that it's like target music or music you play when you're waiting in line to check out at your favorite department store. So I feel like Drake makes better music than what most Def is giving him credit for. But I just felt like that was kind of a low blow, and I could definitely see some type of retaliation or some kind of a blowback on most Def's part, for that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah, he was talking about how it's likable music and how like it has an edge to it in certain situations, referring to the whole shopping thing. And he was like saying, how long is it gonna last? And like how long is it gonna be until the empire crumbles? And I just said to myself when he said that, I'm like, bro, this dude's been the hottest dude in the game for the last 15 years. If his empire was gonna crumble, it would have crumbled by now. He's in like some flash in the pan dude, like getting his 15 minutes of fame. Yo, this dude is an established star and one of the biggest stars we've had in the game in a very long time. Whether or not he's your favorite and whether or not his music is your preference, that's another topic. But saying some shit like that as if
Exactly.
it's not gonna last, it's been lasting long enough where it's like, yo, this shit is here to stay and not going anywhere.
Yeah, no matter what, Drake could not come out with another song or album and still be considered as a legend in the game. So just for Mos Def, especially he hasn't come out with the amount of projects as Drake has over the years. He shouldn't be, talking in this way about Drake. He should show a little bit more respect, and it just shows that I don't know. It just comes off as it just shows Mos Def as a hater. That's how it comes off as, just the way that his facial expressions were and how he said it in the interview just comes off as a hater and doesn't come off as respectful or from one king to another. It should be kind of like that. I respect him, but I just feel like he makes this type of music. But I just felt like Mos Def or Yasiin Bey went a little bit too far with his comments.
Yeah, he didn't come off well. Most people kind of see it that way too.
Just comes off mad disrespectful.
Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't have to be your cup of tea. His music doesn't have to be your favorite, but you have to give the dude props where it's due and respect where it's due. And Drake has definitely earned that respect.
Yeah, he's definitely, you got to respect them. It's like kind of like how the Jordan and Kobe, people used to hate them, but you got to respect them. Like they're the best, at what they do, and you can hate them or love them, but they're still there every single year, right? You got to go through them. So like I don't know, just Mos Def just comes off as he's better than that, man. Like I feel like he's one of the most socially conscious, rappers that we've had, and I don't know, I just feel like that it doesn't go with his brand and the way he's portrayed himself to be, since he's came out. So it just wasn't a good look for him in my eyes.
Yeah, just one thing I've learned about like, being too hard on the newer generation and like I'm sorry, and labeling every single last type of hip hop that you're not a fan of is like not being hip hop and not being a part of the culture. It's just annoying, draining, and it just makes for you to be an unhappy ass person. So I'm so happy I like don't do that shit anymore. But it's just a damn shame that we see rappers like as legendary as Mos Def doing that shit. And I just say to those kind of rappers and anybody who does that in general, you will be a lot happier if you wouldn't be so damn close minded.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens from here, but I don't think it's gonna work out well for Mos Def.
Nah, it probably won't. But let's get into another topic. As Rock the Bells recently ranked Mobb Deep Shook One's Part 2 as the best hip hop beat of all time. And the other honorable mentions that they beat out to get that number one spot included Nas's New York State of Mind, Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear, Dr. Dre's Still Dre, and
Hmm.
Tribe Called Quest is Electric
Yeah,
Relaxation.
yeah, those are definitely all those songs
Yeah.
definitely are timeless beats. That yeah, when you hear when you hear those beats, you already know where you were when that song came out, who made that song and whatnot. So who produced it. So yeah, definitely those songs stick out. And yeah, you can't go wrong with Shook Ones. Shook One's definitely a timeless beat, and I don't know, just one of the, I would say Havoc, one of the best producers of all time, and just a lot of those beats that Mobb Deep came out with at that time were just very memorable, and you just take you back to that time, man. But yeah, definitely, I agree with that list as far as Shook Ones being like the best beat of all time. But what do you think? You think that that's right, or you think of any other beats that should have been taking the number one spot instead?
No, I don't have a problem with it. It's definitely a well deserved pick because every time you hear that beat, you know exactly what's about to go down. That beat and that song in general just capture that whole like mid 90s New York hip hop vibe, specifically of Queensbridge.
Yeah,
And yeah, just such a timeless beat and one that definitely has stood the test of time even almost 30 years later. And I have maintained before the way that it was included in 8 Mile made it even bigger than it already was.
yeah, definitely a timeless beat. Shouts out to Havoc on the production, and all the contributions that Mobb Deep has brought to hip hop. Definitely a lot of timeless beats that they've had over the course of their career and on their albums. So they definitely know how to curate tracks.
And Havoc, one of the best artists slash producers that has ever been in the game, past or present.
Yeah, for real. Can't deny him.
Along with RZA, along with Q-Tip, Dr. Dre, you name it. Yeah, he's in that mix with all those guys.
Definitely up there. So it definitely needs to be respected. But yeah, I'm not mad at that being number one. Not at all.
Yeah, but
Shouts out to Queens.
from the pics I saw, this shit was very '90s biased.
Yeah, I kind of feel that, but that's Rock the Bells is like kind of like a '90s type of, like I would say, boom bap type of hip hop brand. So yeah, I'm not surprised at what those kind of songs on their list. We'll kind of like to see more like down south songs and maybe more recent
West
songs because
Coast.
there's been a lot more dope instrumentals and tracks that's come out over the years. But nonetheless, I can't be mad at that track as far as like being one of the best of all time.
Me either. And the other picks were also great too. But like I said, yeah, definitely very '90s biased, but good picks nonetheless. And shout out to Havoc. He actually gave out a speech for the appreciation he had for being picked for that spot. And yeah, definitely a timeless beat, timeless song, and will never get old.
Yeah, shouts out to Mobb Deep and Havoc and Rock the Bells for putting that list together.
And speaking of that time frame, that '95 period, let's get into some of our anniversaries today. As this past week marked the 29-year anniversary of the release of John Singleton's Higher Learning, which starred Ice Cube, Omar Epps, Michael Rappaport, Lawrence Fishburne, Jennifer Connelly, among other people. And this movie definitely gave you the insights of the racial tension that could definitely go on at college campuses throughout this country. And King Khan, I know you saw this movie in the theaters when it did come out. What was your memories of seeing this movie when it first came out, and what did you get from the movie walking away from it?
Yeah, this movie was definitely one that stood out. People may not rank it as one of the best movies, but I just felt like it had a lot of cultural and social topics that it touched on that were very important, especially around the early '90s. There was a lot of stuff like this going on, especially in the colleges. So I'm glad that John Singleton was able to get together like a star-studded cast and put this movie together. But just like you mentioned, man, so many people that were in this movie. Omar Epps was like when he first came out. Lawrence Fishburne, which he was known, from like what was that movie? Menace to
What?
Society, and I mean, sorry, not Menace to Society. Boys in the Hood. My bad. Boys in the Hood. Like people knew him from that, and then also this is the first time you saw. But this was like the first time you also saw Michael Rappaport, Regina King, Tyra Banks, Busta Rhymes was in the movie too, Ice Cube, a lot of known actors and actresses in this movie, and a lot of people got their start. So just a dope movie, just alone from the people who were in it and the topics that it touched on, the racial and social issues that it touched on. It was just a dope movie. And I felt like Michael Rappaport did a great, exceptional job with playing Remy as like the
Skinhead.
hardcore communist kid, yeah, skinhead kid. So I think that was just a dope movie and it's touched on a lot of different topics, like I said. So just I was one movie that stood out to me years later. So definitely a great movie to check out if you haven't.
Yeah, I actually watched it last night. One thing I will say, if you haven't seen it in a long time, brace yourself because it is stupid long.
Yeah, it is. It is dumb long. Yeah, it was like over a couple hours long.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually talking to one of my coworkers about the movie a few weeks ago, and he said that movie was his first exposure to rape. Because I know you remember the rape scene, like in the beginning of the movie when she's asking the dude to put the
Yeah.
condom on, and like he refuses to do it, and he keeps fucking her. Yeah, she was uncomfortable. Yeah, it's funny. My first exposure to rape was also something college related, but it was an episode of A Different World.
Yeah, and just I feel
Yes,
like
college. Yeah, shit gets crazy over there, man.
yeah, it's
Shit's
kind
not
of
overlooked.
awkward and it's kind of like uncomfortable when you see those type of scenes in movies. But at the same time, I felt like it was
Definitely.
a story that needed to be told because people need to see what goes on and it's not right. And God forbid that happens to your mom or your sister, your daughter, somebody like that. So just to bring that kind of issue to the forefront so people are aware of what kind of happens on some of these campuses, especially during that time, it was definitely eye opening to say the least.
Yeah, it's some disturbing ass shit. In a lot of cases, these girls are afraid to talk about it because people might not believe them or think that they were a slut or whatever else it may be. And yeah, definitely scenes like this, while they are uncomfortable to watch, they are scenes that need to be shown to people so they know like how serious this kind of shit is and to
Yeah,
not
it's
take it
not right.
lightly.
So but definitely a great movie though.
But one thing that pissed me off about that scene is afterwards when the dude who raped her like called her dorm and then Regina King answered, then he called her a black bitch. And then when she told like Ice Cube about it, Ice Cube and his boys all came and jumped him and like
Oh yeah, they beat the shit out
and
of
made him.
they beat the shit out of
Yeah, they intimidated him and all that. But the thing is, they only made him apologize for calling Regina King a bitch and not for raping the other girl. Like they didn't
Yeah,
even care about the girl getting raped. That shit really bothered me. I'm not gonna lie. Watching the movie last night, that shit really bothered me.
yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know the reason why they didn't bring it up. Maybe it's because
They only cared about the black girl being disrespected, and the white girl they didn't even know for one, and also the fact that she was white. I guess from that character standpoint, they didn't care. So yeah, that shit bothered me a lot. Yeah,
and then
that shit really was not
this was
cool.
I believe this was on the campus of UCLA or USC, one of them. So this was like in LA
Columbus is the name of the college in the movie, but it's probably based off of
and LA.
UCLA because John Singleton said that the movie's based on his college experience.
Yeah, so you could tell. So if this came out in the 90s, let's say John Singleton probably went to school in the 70s and 80s.
Whoa,
So there was
whoa,
a lot of
no, bro. John Singleton went to college like in the late 80s, like 88, 89.
okay, yeah. So still around that time, there was a lot of pro-black going on. People had the Malcolm X hats, the African clothing. I don't know if you remember that time. They were wearing the hats and
Yeah,
dashikis and
definitely.
whatnot. There was a lot of racial tension, and remember, like the 70s weren't too far away from like the early 90s. So and the late 60s. So there's still a lot of racial tension that's going on. So it wasn't like how it is today. We're not where we need to be, but it's a lot better now than how it was back then. And there was still a lot of like racial tension going on between blacks and whites at that time. So I can see like a lot of blacks, especially on the campus, college campus, sticking together, for and sticking up for each other rather than helping out the other race. So it's definitely a great movie and kind of like depicts of what was going on around that time.
Also, another serious issue is how the Remy character, how like in the beginning of the movie, he's not really fitting in, he's not clicking with everyone, and then with him being so left out, he falls into the crowd of the neo-Nazi motherfuckers, and yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
prime example of like when you're like in that kind of vulnerable state and that state where you're lost, you can fall into like the wrong crowds and you can fall into some like traps that you can't get yourself out of. Yeah, some
hmm
scary shit. Yeah, because you watch the movie, like you watch the movie throughout, and you're just saying this kid's probably not a racist, but the fucking people he's hanging out with and the people he's talking to are fucking encouraging him to do that shit,
influence
and he
them.
just wants to be
Yeah,
a part of their crew. He wants to feel like accepted, so he just swallows it and accepts it.
yeah, and it led to his demise. Another topic in this movie was suicide and
Oh fuck.
looking for acceptance and being lost. So it's a great movie. Definitely, if you haven't checked it out, definitely encourage you to do so because it has a lot of deep topics that you should know, especially if you've been in college or somebody who's going to college. Is definitely some, an eye opener.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Big Time Track Star.
Yeah, that was funny.
Mr. Williams thinks I am an Uncle Tom. Yo, it's crazy. It's kind of like Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood became a professor, and fucking Doughboy from Boys in the Hood like turned his life around and went back to school, and now he's in college.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, Ice Cube's character in this is like the polar opposite of his character in Boys in the Hood. Like, Boys in the Hood, he's a bum. He doesn't do anything with his life. He just sits in the corner. But in this movie, like, he's a college student, even though he's been in college like a long time, and he's like mad smart. He reads books. Yeah, it's a fucking huge night and day difference.
Yeah. So shouts out to John Singleton, R.I.P. Man.
Yeah, and also one more thing. Tupac was actually initially gonna play Omar Epps' part, but that was around the time the rape charge happened. So he ended up having to drop out, and that's why he was replaced by Omar Epps.
Wow. And then look at Omar Epps. He became a pretty big actor. His career kind
Yeah,
of blossomed from there.
yeah, he was great in it. Don't get me wrong, but a part of me kind of wonders what it would have been like if Tupac were in it.
Yeah, would have been interesting.
Yeah, and also Singleton was dating Tyra Banks at the time.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so let's shift gears to 1 year later. On January 12th, 1996, we had the release of the Wayans Brothers classic, Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. And yes, that's the name of the whole title.
Yeah, this movie was hilarious, man. Like I could still
I remember you and I saw it in the theater together with one of your friends. Yeah, we saw it in the theaters
Yeah, I
together.
remember that shit. Just a lot of things with this movie, man, stood out to me. Like I can probably I haven't seen this movie in a while, but I could probably like
I watched it last
recall
night.
recall everything word for word, and it's just a lot of dumb, funny shit that happens in the movie, and that's what the Wayans brothers were known for, making parody movies. Like they did the scary movie.
That was later though. That was years
Yeah, I
later.
know that was years later. That's a more modern like style, but they had the I Want to Get You Sucker. What was the other one that they had back in the day?
What they blew up from was In Living Color, but as far as movies, the only other one they had was I'm Gonna
Yeah,
Get You Sucker.
yeah. So, but those kind of movies, I feel like I love those kind of movies that make fun of like movies that are out right now, and they kind of like take a serious movie and kind of make fun of it. And so I love that movie. Felt like it was hilarious, kind of making fun of all like
Good
the hood
movies.
movies, like the Boys in the Hood, South Central, and Menace to Society. So I felt like it was funny. And like I said, man, what were some of your funniest parts that you remember from that movie?
The fact that like when he goes to live with his dad, like his dad's like half his size and he's like a fucking kid.
Yeah, he's older. How the hell are you older than your dad, man? It just doesn't make any
And
sense.
then when he's reenacting,
He's putting his dad to sleep. Like he's reading him bedtime stories. Like, it's hilarious.
yo, and then his dad's giving him a haircut, and then fucking he's giving him the story of like when he lost his virginity, when he's hooking up with the chick, the same chick from Boys in the Hood, actually from that scene. And the mom like notices that he's there, and then she's like in her fucking lingerie, and she's like, "Hold him down, baby, let
Yeah.
mama have him."
Wow, that's funny.
Uh,
My favorite part was probably when remember when his friend the Crazy Legs, the dude that was
when he's in the
paralyzed,
MC Hammer
and then he
video,
was thinking to himself.
the
Yeah, he
MC
was
Hammer
thinking to
video.
himself what his dream what would be if he could walk, and he would be like an MC Hammer video dancing and shit with his fucked up legs. Yo, that shit was
And
hilarious,
then,
yo.
and then,
And then
and then at the end of the movie, when he becomes
go
a
ahead.
ballet dancer,
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. And then the other scene when they're walking into that party that was happening, the party in the backyard, everybody's dancing, and you see two random people butt ass naked in the party dancing and shit. That shit was hilarious, yo.
dancing, they were fucking.
Oh yeah, that too. But you know what I mean. I was trying to be.
And then when
And then
Sean Wayans tries to hit on Dashiki, the girl with the 7 kids, and then she's like, "Now, children, what do you say when you meet a nice man? Are you my daddy?"
yeah, that movie, man. I gotta watch that. I haven't watched it in a little while. And the grandma, the Grand Duke.
Oh shit, the fucking grandma. Ashtray, you bitch ass motherfucker, come over here and give me a hug. And then she
Yeah,
tries to fight him. She tries to fight him, and he's like not having him, and she keeps pushing him to it, and then he punches her and she falls over the fucking table.
yeah. And I remember when she rolls up in that car and is all smoked out and she rolls up and it's you think it's one of the guys in the hood and his grandma. It's like, what up? She's like, what up? And then the
And then
other
she has
scene
to
when she
break
starts, the breakdancing scene when she starts breakdancing in
breakdancing in
church.
church.
Now, there's a lot of timeless parts in that movie,
Oh,
man.
bro, you're forgetting another classic scene when they go into the corner store. When they go
Oh
into the
yeah,
corner store, it says "nigga."
yeah. It's like, "Voodoo, nigga." Yeah, that show was hilarious.
And the Asian lady keeps following him around, like she's following him around, like and when he's getting chips, and when he's like getting something from the freezer, she's like waiting in the freezer saying, "Hurry up and buy it," and she's fucking freezing
Hurry
her
up and
ass
buy!
off.
Hurry up and buy! Nah, that movie's classic, man. A lot of that stuff wouldn't fly today because
Yeah, I
a lot
know.
of stuff that wouldn't fly. But that movie is hilarious,
Yeah, and
man.
that's the
Like I
thing.
definitely go
And that's the
check it
thing,
out.
going back to our point earlier, that's the thing I liked about this movie is that it took a lot of serious situations, like, like those scenes from Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society were like serious and they really hit you hard. It took those serious situations and made them funny and made you laugh and kind of like made you forget about how serious some of those situations are. Because honestly, a lot of those scenes, I know them more for Don't Be a Menace than I do for Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of get that too because you just remember it more from the movie because they made it so funny and hilarious. And then the part also with Bernie Mac.
Oh,
Remember Bernie
shit.
Mac? He's like when he's black as hell, and
He's a
then
racist
he's
cop.
talking about how he hates other black people, and he's like, I hate the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. I hate Whoopi Goldberg's lips because they're black. He was just going in.
I hate the black keys on the piano. I hate my gun because it's black. I hate black pepper. I
Nah,
hate
he
my
was going
uniform
in, man.
because it's black. And most of all, I hate that black ass Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, nah, man, that movie's classic and hilarious. Definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, shout out to the Wayans Brothers. And I feel like, in a way, this was Sean and Marlon's coming out party. I feel like this is the movie that kind of established the both of them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We need another one, man. It's been a while. We need another parody movie. Feel like now is a good time to come out with a parody movie. That there's a lot of stuff that's going on, so maybe they could maybe make fun of the Marvel movies or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
that would
throwing that
be
out there, but that would be funny. That would be hilarious.
that would be dope. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite parodies. This is hands down one of my favorite
Oh
parodies.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Also, the part when they stomp the dude, like they stomp the rival gang member so hard that he's like flat into the floor.
Oh yeah, the Wayans brothers had a funny way of doing comedy back at that time with the skits and whatnot. So definitely legends in the game. The whole family.
Probably the most legendary family in comedy. Keyword family. Like everybody in that family fucking
Yeah,
has cred.
Kim Wayans,
Damon
Keenan
Wayans.
Ivory, Damon. Yeah, the whole family, man. Sean, Marlon,
Yeah, because
even the sons now.
oh yeah, I remember one of the sons from a couple like this movie called Let's Be Cops. Yeah, I mainly remember him from that.
Yeah,
Sean and Marlon were on the Wayans brothers, and it was kind of like starting to catch on. But this is the movie that really put the both of them on the map.
yeah, definitely solidified them.
Yeah, so shout out to Sean and Marlon and everyone who put that movie together. Because yo, even 28 years later, I still laugh my ass off at it.
Yeah, definitely. So shouts out to them.
And also, getting into an album anniversary, this past week marked the 26-year anniversary of the L.O.X's debut album, Money, Power, Respect, which featured the title track, Money, Power, Respect, featuring DMX and Lil' Kim, which is one of the first major songs that they're known for. Also, We'll Always Love Big Papa, which is the first song I personally noticed them from. And also a very cringe-worthy song I'm not a fan of called If You Think I'm Jiggy, which, yeah, definitely from that song, you can tell that they wanted to get the fuck out of Bad Boy ASAP.
Yeah, if you listen to their catalog, yeah, that's definitely one that's totally not like the
Not
L.O.X.
them.
How
Yeah,
they
not
are.
them.
Yeah, definitely not them. But nonetheless, it was definitely a solid album, even though they were on Bad Boy and this was the Shiny Suit era. It's right after Biggie passed away, so yeah, it was a decent album. There's some tracks on there, like you said, Money, Power, Respect with DMX, and that's what DMX was still bubbling and was hot. And that's a phrase that people still say to this day: money, power, respect. So you could tell, that's just a timeless phrase and a timeless track. And then one of my favorite songs on there was "For the Love," which was "All for the Love," which was the Jadakiss "Gotta Squeeze the Juice Out of the Headphones." That track, and that was like one of the only tracks where somebody was only a solo artist on that track, which was only Jadakiss by himself. So I that song was one of my favorite songs on that album, and is withstood the test of time. So, any other ones that stood out to you from that album?
The one thing I'll say about it is that album, you could definitely see their talent. You could definitely see that they were dope. It was just under the wrong umbrella. Like that whole
Yeah,
bad boy vibe just was not them. The production, the style of it, yeah, that shit was just not them. Like even if you look at the album cover, like those bright ass outfits they're wearing and shit, it's like, bro, what the
the big
fuck is this?
glasses. Yeah, Rough Riders was more of their style and their lane than Bad Boys. So I'm glad that you
Yeah,
know, I'm glad that though that they still went through Bad Boy because they got to connect with Biggie and they got to work with him and they got to take some of his things that he used to do and bring it into their music, and they use some of that influence to take them to the levels that they've reached. So I'm at least glad that he got to start out there, but definitely being with Rough Riders, I was more of their home and where I felt like they felt where they belonged.
yeah, they definitely fit in more with that vibe, especially if you hear the We Are the Streets album. It definitely you definitely feel more like it's a Lox album and more like it's them being themselves. But being on Bad Boy initially, while it wasn't the right fit, it did give them exposure. It did make people know who the Lox were from
Yeah,
that point
they put
on.
a spotlight on
And
them, definitely.
yeah, so for better or worse, you got to give their run at Bad Boy credit for that. And yo, they still had some good shit on Bad Boy. It's not to say that it was all bad, but just the style of it, the sound of it, it definitely needed something else.
Yeah, they did the Benjamins, they did the Honey remix with Mariah, so they got some really good looks. I feel like they
24
probably
hours to
wouldn't have
live.
gotten it.
24 hours to
24 hours to
live.
live. Yeah, so they got a lot of good looks and got a look, all that they probably wouldn't have gotten if they were on Rough Riders because they wouldn't have been on those type of records. They would be on more hardcore underground type of tracks. But at least Puffy put them out there and showed them a little bit of the commercial side, and I felt like that kind of helped them in their career throughout the years, even though it didn't end well. It at least helped them out over the years and helped them get to the level where they're at now as one of the greatest groups of all time.
Yeah, you even said that a few weeks ago when we talked about our favorite groups that they are your favorite.
Yeah.
And yeah, this album was the start of it for them. Whether you like the album or just think it's okay, this album was definitely the start of them becoming the Lox that we know and love today.
Yeah. So shouts out to the Locks.
And it's crazy. That very next day and that anniversary of that next day is today, actually. Our grandfather actually passed away. Papi Gia, rest in peace to him.
Yeah, RIP, man, to a G.
Before we get out of here, King Khan, break us down with some of the new releases we have to look forward to or that we can start listening to right now.
Yeah, definitely. When the new year starts, it starts off a little slow with everybody coming back from the holidays and people getting in the flow of the new year. But we did have some new music that dropped over the last few weeks that I feel like everybody should check out. 21 Savage dropped a new project on Friday called American Dream. Got a star-studded lineup of features on the album, and it's pretty dope. I would recommend for you to check it out. I didn't expect this type of album from 21 Savage, but it's pretty dope. And he has a lot of deep tracks on there, and the beat selection is dope. Metro Boomin produced a big part of the album, and I just enjoy the album, and I feel like it's a great listen. And I probably would say it's 21 Savage's best album. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out yet, but if not, definitely I would encourage you to do so. Definitely made me respect 21 Savage on a whole nother level after hearing this album.
Good shit. I'm gonna check it out later today. I did listen to the new Kid Cudi album though. I did listen to that before we got on, and yo, it's some trippy ass shit.
Yeah, he has some joints on there though. I liked how it's called Insano, and I think he has a track. So DJ Drama is on there a few times, and yeah, from what I've heard, the first few tracks sound pretty good. I didn't get through the whole thing, but I listened to the first few tracks, and I'm not really a Cudi fan like that. I do respect him in the game, but I'm not really never been a big fan of his style of music. But definitely, from what I heard, the first maybe 5 tracks that I listened to, I'm kind of interested to hear the rest. So we'll see. I'll check it out, but definitely sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That track Blue Sky was dope. Also, that track Wow was good. The one with ASAP Rocky. Yeah, he had a bunch of joints on this. The way I'll describe Cudi for me is like a mix between Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller.
Okay, I'll get that.
Yeah,
It's just that I just don't like when he's like chanting and singing and stuff. I really that's kind of like when I
really?
get lost when he loses me sometimes. I don't know because I don't know. I want to hear raps. I don't want to hear singing and folk music that type of shit that he does. Like I don't know. Sometimes I get kind of over it, but based on the tracks that I heard, he's not like it's not like overly like that. It's more like rapping and more like I don't know. More it's different. It's just different from what I heard.
Yeah, but regardless, he's a beast. He's one of the most talented artists, period, to come out in a very long time.
Oh yeah, definitely give him his props. And I do like songs that he's dropped over the years, like the Pursuit of Happiness and some other songs here and there that
That
he's been
memory
on. But
song with that memory song with David Guetta's fire. That's one of my favorite club
yeah,
songs.
yeah. So definitely shouts out to Kid Cudi.
Also, that new movie he had on Netflix that came out last year was dope. I don't know if you ever got the chance to see it. It's kind of like an animated movie, but yeah, it's mad fire.
Nah, I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, whenever you get a chance, like yeah, check it out on Netflix. But yeah, any other releases you have to tell us about?
Yeah, a couple other ones. We did see the game and Big Hit, which is Hit Boy's father who was locked up for a long time, but he got released a few months ago. So he dropped a project with the game, which is pretty dope. Has some all the production is by Hit Boy, and it's like on some West Coast banging shit. So if you're into that, it's definitely a dope little EPs, like eight or 9 tracks on there. It's called Paisley Dreams, so you could check that out. Also, we had Kanye. Sorry, we had Conway, West Side Gun, and The Alchemist. They released their underground album called Hall and Nash 2, which I'm pretty sure you'll like the title of that because
Yes, I
they
will.
like to play off of the whole wrestling vibe. So I think that's a dope project. Also, Currency dropped Highway 600, which is another a dope album. And then finally, we have the Book of Clarence soundtrack that's dropped. Jay-Z has a song with D'Angelo on there that's about like 9 minutes long, and it's for the new movie that came out that's directed by Jay-Z called The Book of Clarence. So I would definitely check those out, and just be on the lookout for a lot more new music dropping, since it's the beginning of the first quarter of 2024. So I can expect a lot of new music coming out. Still waiting on that Benny the Butcher album that should be dropping in the next couple of weeks. So I'll definitely keep everybody informed on what's hitting the streets and what's hitting the net soon.
Yeah, definitely check out those projects. I'm going to be checking them out myself. Yeah, it's a brand new year. It's 2024. I'm liking the way it's looking right now. The good, the bad, the ugly, the controversy. And yeah, I'm ready to get it popping. But before we get out of here, King Khan, let our listeners know how they can listen to past episodes of the podcast and also how they can follow us on social media.
Yeah, the best way to start, if you want to listen to past episodes, you can start at the Shifting the Culture podcast.com. That's our website that has all of our past episodes. You can learn a little bit more about us and also the show. If you want to check us out on social media, you can visit at Shifting the Culture Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the other major social media platforms like YouTube. And then if you want to subscribe and follow us, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also wherever else you get your podcasts and listen to them, and just search for Shifting the Culture Podcast.
Yeah, check us out. And until next time, for King Khan, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of the Shifting the Culture podcast. Take care. Have a good one. Happy birthday to Dr. King. And remember, whether you're an old school head or a new school head, always respect the culture. Have a good one, guys.
Peace. Welcome 51 years of hip hop.